Hello, hey guys, welcome to daily DSA practice and Shreyans this side. And today question which I have picked is wildcard matching. So this question is very important question as per the top 100 interview questions. It's coming on the top, very much frequently asked. So let's see the question. It's given an input string. So this is an input string which is given to us, right? And a pattern. So this one is the pattern. Implement the wildcard pattern matching, and pattern can have question and asterisk, right? So the pattern string can have question or even asterisk. That's what it is trying to say. So question means question matches any single character. So what does question says? Question matches any single character. Asterisk matches any sequence of character including the empty sequence. Okay. The matching should cover the entire input string. Okay, so this pattern using this wildcards should be able to match the entire string, right? So this is the question, and you know the drill, right? So what are the steps to follow in the interview when any question comes? Find the missing use case, find the brute force approach with time complexity but never code for it. Find the efficient approach and think out loud while finding the efficient approach. Write a clean code. Do dry run before and identify the bug before interview do. So let's first go with our first step. Let's find the missing use case. So see here the questions look very straightforward in this case to me, and but even though interviewer has given me a very simple of question mark A, right, and with the string equals to CB. Let me take more use cases. Let's say I'll try to find out a use case 1 where a string is all A. Let's say I'm just taking duplicates, and pattern has now also, apart from question, it is also has asterisk question mark A. Whatever it has, I'm just taking that. So now here in this use case, this asterisk, right, can be used as A, right? Let's say 4 times A, right? And this, so asterisk can be treated as this. Question mark can be treated as empty string. Empty, so means it's we kind of ignored it. And then A we have. So ultimately a string is matched. So we already have A, and this 2 are converted to this one, 4 times A, and this total 5A. Or there could be like asterisk can be considered as 3A instead of 4. Question mark is also considered as 1A, and that's it. So this is another way to do it, right? So using this use case, so this is one of the use case where we can have a multiple way we can find out a solution. So both the way we can find out a solution, but different ways we interpreted the asterisk, right? So another use case 2 which I am thinking is let's say CB string pattern is asterisk CB. So in this case I am considering question mark as empty string. So let's say a pointer is here, my pointer is here, so I am considering as empty and moving to here. So this is considered as empty, and then string matches. So this looks straightforward, but at least one thing I know that I have to, using this missing use case, one thing I know that I have to do a recursion, because there can be multiple ways asterisk can be interpreted, right? So now let's jump to a second part, brute force approach. Brute force approach. Now in the brute force approach, let's say that the same question A, what I have taken, let's say 3 times A instead of 5 times. Let's make it little bit simple, and let me take a star question mark A. Okay, so now let's say this is the question, and currently my S index is 0 and pattern index pi is also 0. So both are at 0. So they are at this level. So what all the possible things can happen? The possible things one can happen is, I will consider a star as A, right? So my string index got incremented. So this got incremented and my index now become 1, right? So now it is here. And one thing is, I still at asterisk itself, because there might be more I have to consider. So I am still at 0 here. Still question mark A. What all the other possible way we can have for a star, because currently it's a star. I am interpreting for a star. So for a star, another way for interpreting is, I have to take it as an empty string, because in the use case we found, right, what if it can be taken as an empty string? So here in this case, if it is taken as an empty string, means it has been skipped. I should be here. We saw that, right? I didn't move, only this got moved. So here my s of I index is still same 0, but pattern index has been moved. It become 1. So s is a, so it is still at 0, and pattern is now moved to question mark. Okay. Similarly for this, now it has to be repeated. So this is again an asterisk. So it will again have a two-way. The same. One is I is incremented, string index is incremented and pattern is not. And one is string index is not increased and pattern is increased. Right. So this is for the star. But what about the question mark? Now here if you say that we have a question mark, what about the question mark? So question mark is very simple. So it will have only one for the question mark, that if it is matched, right? So what will happen? If it is matched, then increment both, right? Actually there is no point of match also. So question mark can be treated as any character, right? So definitely whenever there is a question mark, increment both. So it will be +1 and pi would be +1, which is become 2. So as would be your as string would be come 1. So it would be here now, and p equals to star question mark a. It will reach to this point. Okay. Now again, after this index, what would be the possibility? Now here there is no star, there is no wildcard character. Now it's an character A to A. So if they both are matched, then go to the next, otherwise throw error if they do not match. But my major point was, I wanted to know how the system behaves when it is a star and when it's a question mark, right? So now if you see that in the brute force approach, there is always, so worst case could be A and a star. So every time a star, let's say. So every time there would be, so in this case every time it would be 2 path, correct? So what would be the time complexity? Time complexity would be, every time there would be 2 raised to power, what would be the depth? Depth would be till we don't reach the string length, right? So it would be 2 raised to power my string length. So this is my brute force approach using recursion, right? So let's first, so generally here in this case brute force approach and time complexity, now after that we have to go for the efficient one now, right? So now interview will say that, okay, can you improve this time complexity a bit from 2 raised to power n? Yes, we can do. it's, see, this question is very much specific to DP, right? But see, I am not a guy with very much good at DP, but I am a guy who is very much inclined with recursion plus memo. So this is my, so I know that all the DP question can also be solved through recursion plus memo. As far as I know, I might be wrong, but generally I am good in recursion plus memo, and I might sometime make some mistake in DP. So I always go with recursion plus memo, but you can also go with the DP approach also. So now in the recursion memo, what can be done is, so here in the brute force approach, right, there might be a use case when a particular index and this is already solved, right? Because we are continuously backtracking and solving each one, index 0, 1. So there might be a possibility that the same index is somewhere solved. So here SI 1, 2. So definitely you will get SI 1 and 2 here also somewhere, right? So that it should not be recalculated again. That's what I am trying to say. So that's where we can use a memoization to solve to store the output of this index when I solve it here, so that it can be reused, right? You understood? So what would be the time complexity which I am saying with memoization is, so let's say the length of string into length of pattern, right? So generally I know that in DP you would be creating a pattern length here like this many time, and the length, so let's say A and A star kind of question mark A, and then we will go with all the combinations 1 0, like it's a path or way or not. So but what space complexity, definitely we are taking a memoization, and for each ij, for each string index and pattern index we have to store. So space complexity is also the length of string into the length of pattern, and similarly the time complexity also, because we have to go through each iteration, each ij. Got it? So generally the efficient approach in this solution is just whatever the brute force is plus memo, right? So now let's do a clean coding for it. Okay, so this was the question, and we have to build it. Now let's write it. So we have to make a match, a string to be match and pattern, right? So now here I am taking I'm using a memoization one itself. So let's say I am taking 2D because I need to store ij, and let's call it cache, right? So it's new int, and let's the length would be its string to be matched dot length, and pattern dot length, right? So it's a cache memo, I would say that it's a cache memo, right? Okay, so now after this one we have to store it here. I'm just storing into this is the -1 here. So in I am taking one string index from 0, and a string index is less than a string to be matched dot length, string index plus plus. Similarly I need to do it for pattern index is 0, pattern index is less than pattern length, pattern index plus plus. And in my cache memo this S index and P index, currently I am storing at -1. So currently my memo everything is -1, so nothing is stored here, right? and now I am calling my let's say is match, right? So is match I am calling. I'll write another method, and the value which I am passing a string to be match my pattern, comma. So I am starting from the end, right? So let's say I have a string right here, a. So let's say what I am doing now. So now you know already now, right? A. Let's say star question mark a. So I already tell you, like for a star what is thing we have to do. So for a star there are two ways, right? So for a star, two ways, where a string of index is incremented but pattern is not incremented. Another is a string of index is not incremented, pattern is incremented. It is taken as an empty string, right? So I am moving from back here. You can also move from start, right? So that's why I am moving from back. I'll keep telling you how it is going so that you can relate properly, right? So I am going from the back side now. Cache memo. So this is the new method which I am going to write here, right? So it's a private method, and so this is my string, this is your string, this is your length, string length, this is your pattern length, p length, and this is your memoization which we have to use. Okay, so now let's move to that method. So first condition is, so let's plan for the breaking condition here. So one thing is, so I am starting from here. So let's say this is my I, this is my j, right? So one case is, so if my index string length is less than 0, right, means it reached till here, this is all completed, right? So it is less than 0 and j is also completed, it is also less than 0, means both are completed. For example, simple a, I is here, j is there, match, I become here, j become here, match, I become here, j become here, match, I become here, j become here. So initially its length is 0, 1, 2, so now it's become -1, right? Less than 0. So means totally matched up. So the first condition is when everything matched up, when everything matched. So if, so here you have so currently I would say that it's an index, so s index, so currently where we are starting, and this is my p index. So if s index is less than 0 and p index is also less than 0, if both reach till the end completed, means it's a happy use case, return 1. Okay, so another use case is if when pattern is finished but string is not, then it's a invalid use case. So here if s index is greater than equals to 0, means I is not finished, a string of length is, let's say, something here, but my pattern is finished, it was only 1, pattern is finished. So my pattern is less than 0, it is already finished, but string of length is not. So this is an invalid use case, return 0. So another use case is mine if, so here if pattern is left. So the third terminating condition is, let's say if pattern is left but string is finished. So you know, right, question can be treated as an empty character, so that can be done also. So here if you see that, now I am saying that if string of index is your less than 0, means string is totally finished, string is finished, and pattern of index is greater than equals to 0, means pattern is not finished. So I started from here, right, and I am here pattern. So string of index is already came -1, it's finished. I consider is a. Let's say it is star star star. So with the star star star, it's already done. So pattern is till now here. Okay. So but still pattern is left, right? I am going from back to here. So with this star itself, I will treat it as a and string length finished, but pattern is not yet finished. So I just need to now iterate at a pattern and see if it is all star or question mark. If it is star or question mark, means then it's considered as a wild character and it's okay. And I think I need to consider only star because it says that matches any single character. Star matches any sequence of character including the empty sequence. So I think I need to consider only star. So here for int, I am taking one index which is currently at my this index, and I will go till 0. Index is greater than equals to 0. Index minus minus. Now if pattern dot character at is at this index, if it is not equals to star, if it is not equals to star or wild character which I can use, means it is invalid, else it is valid. So these are all my breaking conditions, right? Now since I am using memoization, so I will use my memo like if my memo's data is present, right? So here I will say that if my memo has a string index and pattern index not equals to -1, means some value is already present, so I will return that one, right? So I will return cache memo s index and p index, means till that it is matched or not, it would be 1 or 0. Okay, so now we have written our base condition now. So now let's write a very simple recursive logic here, which we have to do now. I told you, right, in case of question mark and whenever there is a match, we have to increment simply. We have to increment simply one character both. So what is that condition? If your string to be matched, which is string character at s index equals to your pattern dot character at p index, if they both are equal, or pattern is equals to question mark, right? So if this is the case, what we have to do is we have to just call it again and increment both, right? S index. So here we are going from back to bottom, so it would be -1 for both, right? And ultimately we have to store, since we are using memoization, we have to store whatever the 1 or 0, whether it's match or not, we have to store it here and return the value of this one from here. So this is for this condition, very simple. Another question, another condition is if pattern is, if the pattern is question mark. If pattern is question mark, you already know there are two possibilities what can happen, right? So the two possibility is match, string to be match, pattern. So one possibility is we are incrementing the string. So means kind of we are going from back to bottom. So it's s index -1 and p index remains the same and it's the cache memo. So this, or another is we are saying that string index remains the same and p index become -1, cache memo, right? So these are the two cases which are possible, right? If they ask, if something is matched up, we have to make it -1, right? Else what we have to do, we have to make it here 0, means nothing is matched up, right? So here we'll say that, so okay, if this is equals to 1 and this is equals to 1, if something got matched up, okay. And once all done this thing, so once if else is done, so it will return its value, value, and finally once everything is done, it will return 0 here, because if anything is matched, it will return it from here, but if at last if nothing is matched, it will return 0. Okay, cool. So this is the implementation. So here it get 1 or 0. So here we just write one, since we have to return boolean, right? We can write one condition like if output is greater than 0, return true, else false. So it's done. Okay, so this is my approach of solving it through recursion versus memo. I definitely want to know about the DP1 approach. So I hope you like it, guys. So thank you very much and good night, and see you with the next question tomorrow. Bye.